Lockheed AC130. Few American aircraft have reached legendary status like the Lockheed AC130. This fixed-wing ground attack gunship has been around for almost 6 decades, and it still has a long way to go. First introduced during the Vietnam War, the AC-130 has become the U.S.'s most famous gunship due to its multiple uses and tremendous combat effectiveness. The C130 Hercules was part of Project Gunship II, an American program that sought to develop a substitute for the Douglas AC47 Spooky gunship. The American military wanted to produce a gunship with improved range, ammunition capacity, and firepower. In 1967, a modified C-130 Hercules was selected as part of the secret program. The Hercules had been in use since the 1950s as a military transport aircraft, but its versatile airframe would soon be used in a new role. The modifications to the Hercules included a direct-view night vision telescope, a primitive forward-looking infrared device near the left wheel, various miniguns and rotary cannons, and other weaponry that was also fixed on the left side. An analog fire control computer was specially created to manage the arsenal of the aircraft. It was made with the cooperation of the United States Air Force Avionics Laboratory at Wright-Patterson AFB and Royal Air Force Wing Commander Tom Pinkerton. In September of 1967, the modified Hercules, now dubbed AC-130, was sent to Nha Trang Air Base in South Vietnam for testing. The AC-130 served the special operators at Khatum Special Forces Camp and other military bases with pinpoint accuracy, often firing within the perimeter of friendly forces, but only striking enemy forces. By December of 1968, a dozen AC-130s were operating in Vietnam, escorted by F-4 Phantoms. In May of 1969, the first AC-130 gunship was lost to the Viet Cong forces. It was shot down at 6,500 feet by 37mm anti-aircraft artillery. Although the AC-130s generally flew at high altitudes, that did not stop the North Vietnamese from striking them down with rocket-propelled grenades and surface-to-air missiles. Other Hercules were fitted with different combat configurations, such as the Surprise Package upgrade, which included 20mm rotary cannons and a 40mm Bofors cannon, but ditched the 7.62mm close support armament, and further versions used a powerful 105mm howitzer cannon. The Lockheed AC-130 is still being used today by the American military to fight the war on terror, along with more powerful weapons. Douglas AC-47 Spooky. The Douglas AC-47 Spooky, also known as Puff the Magic Dragon, was the U.S.'s first attempt at creating a fixed-wing gunship for use in the Vietnam War. During World War II, the Army Air Forces used civilian Douglas DC-3 airliners with multiple configurations, such as cargo aircraft or airborne assault, to carry and drop paratroopers behind enemy lines. Its military designation was C-47. After the war, several C-47s were fitted with 3 7.62mm General Electric miniguns that would fire through 2 rear window openings and the cargo door from the aircraft's left side. The objective was to provide immediate close air support or suppress fire directed towards ground troops in a specific area. The aircraft would circle the zone for hours until it eventually ran out of fuel or ammunition. Its elliptical area of coverage was about 55 yards, placing a round every 2.5 yards during a 3-second burst to maximize ammunition efficiency and rate of fire. All 3 guns were activated and controlled through the pilot's yoke, and they could be controlled individually or together. Gunners from the crew could also manually control them. After the first conversions were successfully built, the Air Force experimented by equipping other gunships with up to 10 30-caliber M1919 Browning machine guns. All the armament was fitted into SUU-11 gun pods, or package guns, popularized by B-25 bombers and other American bombers from World War II. In early 1964, Captain Ron W. Terry launched Project Gunship with 1 C-47 to develop a gunship ideal for use in Vietnam. The objective of these gunships was to protect villages, hamlets, and other valuable areas from the hands of the Viet Cong guerrilla. The first C-47 used was dubbed Puff and was equipped with 3 miniguns. During the night of December 23, 1964, Puff provided close air support to a special forces base near the Mekong Delta and poured over 4,500 rounds that halted the enemy's advance. Puff was then called to action to break off a Viet Cong attack located 20 clicks away from its location. When Puff showed up at Trong Hung, the enemy was about to overrun the position. Still, its accurate minigun fire tore the communist formation apart and forced them to retreat. Each of Puff's three 7.62mm guns could fire either 50 or 100 rounds per second. The gunship shot a glowing red tracer every fifth round into every square yard in less than 10 seconds. And although it was gradually replaced by the AC130, the C-47's efficiency during its combat sorties earned it a Presidential Unit citation. Cessna A37 Dragonfly. The Super Tweet, or A37 Dragonfly, was an American light attack aircraft developed from the T-37 Tweet trainer. It was mainly used during the Vietnam War, but it also served several Hispanic American countries for the war on drugs. The Dragonfly was conceived in a time when the United States gradually increased its involvement in Vietnam. In preparation for an eventual military conflict, the U.S. Air Force began experimenting with counterinsurgency aircraft that could be used to sabotage North Vietnamese operations. The Air Force believed the T-37 perfectly fit this intended role and manifested interest in an improved version fit for combat. In 1963, Cessna began working on a prototype with a stronger airframe, extended fuel capacity, a lethal 7.62mm minigun with a rate of fire of about 3,000 rounds per minute, and wing pylons to carry explosive ordnance. The Dragonfly replaced the aging Douglas A-1 Skyraider in 1967 with tremendous success. It quickly earned the Super Tweet nickname to honor its combat proficiency. The Dragonfly participated in more than 1,000 sorties without suffering a single casualty. The Tweets were used for night interdiction, helicopter escort, reconnaissance, and close air support roles. In its gunship-like support, the Tweet easily tore apart enemy formations hidden in the jungles thanks to its maneuverable speed, lethal minigun accuracy, and ordnance. The payload included napalm tanks, unguided rockets, cluster munition dispensers, and explosive bombs. Ground troops knew they could rely on the support provided by the Super Tweets. There are no registered accounts of friendly fire suffered by one. A second version of the Super Tweet, the A37B configuration, was heavier and featured more fuel capacity, armor, and upgraded General Electric engines. Alternate armaments included 20 and 30mm cannon pods, but they were never used in combat. The Super Tweet became a clear example of how an effective and aggressive aircraft does not necessarily need to be bigger or have additional ordnance to prove its value in combat. Helio AU24 Stallion. The Helio AU24 Stallion is one of the lesser-known gunships tested by the United States for use in the Vietnam War. It was planned to be used for gunship, transport, and counterinsurgency roles during the entire conflict, but less than 25 were produced. Developed in 1963 before the escalation of the conflict in Vietnam, the Helio HST-550 Stallion was conceived as a short takeoff landing utility aircraft. It was meant to be a slightly different variant of the Helio Courier, but eventually turned into a completely new design. When the company realized that its size would not fit the commercial market, it decided to ditch the 20 produced aircraft. It was then that the U.S. Air Force decided to buy the design and experiment with it. The Stallion was quickly converted into a mini gunship equipped with an M197 rotary cannon fitted in the left cargo door and underwing space for explosive ordnance. The M197 featured a 20mm three-barreled electric Gatling-type cannon and was a replacement for the 7.62mm minigun. It operated identically to the General Electric's M61 Vulcan cannon, except it only included 3 barrels instead of 6. The Stallion was never used in combat by American forces. It would be used as a gunship under the Credible Chase program that began in 1971, but the United States had already started to withdraw from Vietnam. Tests indicated that the Stallion was unfit for combat, and the expected deliveries of some of them to the South Vietnamese Army were cancelled. All of the existing aircraft were sold in 1972 to the Khmer Air Force and eventually used in the Cambodian Civil War. Fairchild AU-23 Peacemaker. The Fairchild AU-23 Peacemaker was yet another unfortunate gunship design tested by the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War. The aircraft was envisioned as a counterinsurgency and cargo transport version of the PC-6 Porter, but only 20 were produced. Continuing its plans to use light utility short takeoff and landing aircraft for Vietnam, the Aeronautical Systems Division at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base believed that something useful could come out of the Credible Chase program. The U.S. Army believed that their South Vietnamese counterpart had a fighting chance against the Communists if they developed a robust, strong, and mobile air force that could support ground forces. Developed in conjunction with the Helio Stallion, the Fairchild Porter would also be militarized for gunship tasks with the same specifications. It was equipped with a 20mm M197 cannon and 4 wing pylons for explosive ordnance. The aircraft was then tested for gunship, reconnaissance, border surveillance, and counter-infiltration roles. U.S. Air Force crews flew over 70 sorties and fired over 8,000 rounds of ammunition to test the Peacemaker, but it was never greenlit for actual combat due to its less than desirable speed of 135 knots. The Peacemakers were never sold to the South Vietnamese and were instead delivered to Thailand under the Military Assistance Program. They were then incorporated into the Royal Thai Air Force and are still used to this day. Like and subscribe to watch more of our Dark 5 content. And please tell us in the comments below about other topics of your interest.